I want you to get together.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of my random ruminations and the Remember series. Today I'm going to ask you guys if you remember something from the 2010-2008 era. It mainly became popular and big in the build-up to the end of the world, and this was the Zeitgeist movie. Now, the Zeitgeist movie, if you don't know, and you're quite new to the conspiracy culture, was a big deal over a decade ago, and then some. It was basically one of the first real major truther documentaries that came out and was big online. When I was at university, a weed-smoking art student, you know, in my new age hippie phase, this is when I saw this movie for the first time, and my little mind was blown at the time. I was like, whoa, who knew everything was so connected, man? I kind of realized, you know, at the time in my thought process, it's like, oh, there's some kind of deep control going on in our lives, you know, and we've been lied to by authority and religious institutions, you know, and I am a god, and, you know, we're all God, and everything is, you know, just to suppress us and keep us down and keep it as a low vibrational frequency type of attitude. And Zeitgeist really helped kind of propagate this mindset, because it was basically a documentary trying to say that evil secret societies rule the world. It kind of hinted at that, but it mainly made an attack towards the Christian religion, trying to say that all of these, well, Christ was simply just a copy, a fictional character created as a copy and paste of about 12 other deities throughout history, who this Zeitgeist movie was basically saying that all of these gods had the same life as Jesus. They had 12 apostles, they died at 33, they were born in December, you know, during the equinox and all this sort of thing. And, you know, at the time, when you don't really know anything, you wouldn't question the information, and you'd think, oh yeah, it does seem like, you know, Jesus Christ was a copy of all of these other gods, you know, and Jesus isn't a real person, and, you know, you just leave it at that and go on with your life, believing this lie, basically. And in the decade and a half since this thing came out, there has been hundreds of documentaries just outright debunking every single claim in this Zeitgeist movie, and it is all lies. They literally just made stuff up about these other gods to make it fit their lie and their narrative. None of it was true, and it was basically made on the assumption that nobody would bother to look into any of their claims, and a lot of people took it at face value and didn't look into any of the claims. And you'll find that these gods they reference, you know, there's many, okay? I'm not going to get too deep in the specifics for this video, you know, but they would say something like, you know, they have all these 12 similarities, and then when you'd actually look into the god itself, you'd realize the differences, first of all, were incredibly more vast than the similarities. And most of the similarities they did claim to have just weren't actually the case at all and weren't true. That, you know, they didn't have that similarity to Jesus in any way. They didn't have 12 disciples. Their birthday wasn't on the equinox as they claimed it to be. You know, they didn't die at 33 and all these type of things. It just wasn't true, just outright. And all it took was a little bit of scratching beneath the surface to realize that all these claims were false. So that, you know, this movie deceived a lot of people for a long time, and myself included for a very short time, you know, before I kept going with my research and very quickly barreled towards the actual truth, you know, that Jesus is real. And this whole argument that, you know, other gods came before, therefore God not real type of attitude, you know what I mean? Or this, you know, the people use it with the Noah flood myth, that there's older stories of the flood myth, therefore the Noah flood myth isn't true. And it's kind of this fallacy, this idea that there can't be competing myths from the same era or prior. You know, it's kind of misunderstood. And there's also this idea that just because the gods of the past mimicked the Messiah before he arrived, doesn't mean that they were the true gods and Jesus is a lie. It just means there was an orchestrated, concerted effort to muddy the waters and confuse people, and to mimic and pretend to be the Christ before the true Christ appeared. You know, it was all a part of the deception, and, you know, we're talking about a spiritual war here that spans thousands of years, and the angels who were involved in this rebellion were kind of privy to God's plan a little bit, so they kind of knew what to expect, and I do believe they modelled a lot of their false idols after the coming Messiah, in order that people would worship them and idolize them, and for future preparations of even confusing people with films like the Zeitgeist, And the thing about the Zeitgeist, it wasn't just simply about attacking Jesus and making stuff up, to say that Jesus was never a real person, which is just ridiculous, because there's more historical evidence out there to prove the existence of Jesus than there are for other people we don't deny existed, like Caesar, for example. You know what I mean? True historians do not deny that Jesus truly existed and influenced people. There's witness testimonies and accounts on all sorts of things, more for them we have for most of the historical figures. So this idea that Jesus wasn't real attitude is just disingenuous at best, and an outright malevolent lie at its worst. I'd rather assume ignorance before malevolence, but with the world we live in lately, I'm starting to think people know what they're doing. We have some paid actors out there who are purposefully creating this nonsense, like the Zeitgeist, to purposefully lead people away from the truth, and propagate and keep up this new age truther movement lie that's mixed in with the real truth, which is Jesus Christ, and God is real, and the biblical history of the Nephilim is all true, and we're in the middle of this spiritual war, So the counterfeit spirituality has become really big lately in the past decade, with the rise of Gnostic thinking, and this New Age ideology, and it's kind of competing with the Christian truthers who are out there trying to show what's really going on, and this Christian versus New Age war we see between the truther community is something I'm going to have to address a lot more as time goes on, because it matters. And I know a lot of Gnostic channels out there and sources do come up with a lot of interesting and make some interesting connections type of thing, and some of them are just out there believing they're trying to spread the truth like anyone else, but the truth matters, and if you're going to deny that God is real and is benevolent and actually has a plan, then Jesus is real and demons are real, and you're going to kind of pontificate and mysticize it all and mix it all up with these false Gnostic doctrines and New Age thinking, then that matters, unfortunately. And I don't want to cause division, but it feels like this movement created by things like the Zeitgeist, it needs to stop, unfortunately. Gnostic corruption of biblical theology and just the truth in general is a millennia old problem. It's been going on for a long time since Jesus came and rose again. There have been Gnostic people out there co-opting, reimagining, reinterpreting, twisting and messing things up, and this whole Hermetic thinking that came out of Egypt, this is the root of the New Age movement, and all this Hermetic alchemical Gnostic ideology was embedded in the Zeitgeist documentary, and at the end it's talking about consciousness expansion and frequency and sound expansion, and how we need to unlock our own inner self and all this sort of stuff, and it's like David Icke talks about the reptilians and all this sort of stuff, and ends his shows talking about how we all need to come together as one new world with an expanded consciousness in love and light. There's a lot of these truthers out there who give a little bit of truth that keeps you hooked in and interested, and then they spray it with this New Age "you are a god" philosophy at the end, and that is enticing for a lot of people. It was enough, to make Adam and Eve eat the apple, the promise that you would be as a god. It's the thing that corrupted us to begin with, and it's just something human beings are naturally drawn to, that kind of promise, which is why I believe when the ability to become superhuman gets introduced, people will definitely take that. It's kind of it's just a human issue. It's a part of the human condition. So I empathise with the Gnostics in the respect that I understand why they would fall for these type of lies, because they are tantalising, but it's still a lie. It's all false, and it's dangerous. And me saying this is extremely contentious and will make a lot more enemies than friends. I'm very well aware of that, and I don't care. It's the truth, unfortunately. There's another thing I'm going to make a video about soon, which was iPet Goat 2. And a lot of truthers back in the day, around the same time, were using this piece of artwork that was created, this video, to decode the future. It's like the person who made this is an Illuminati insider, and they're telling us through predictive programming what's to come. And they basically describe in this video, summarizing quickly, I'll go into it more in the next video, but they describe the destruction of the old world and the rising of a new world from the ashes of the old. And it ends with a new age fire Jesus coming out of a dark tunnel with the church or Christianity crumbling behind him. This is the rise of the Antichrist symbolism, and it's supposed to be a happy ending, I think, from a new age Gnostic perspective. A lot of this Gnostic media came out around this time. A lot of Gnostic channels started to crop up around this end of the world hype period time. And it's only gotten more deluded in its philosophy and stronger in its community as time has gone on. And this is the problem with the truther community. A house divided among itself will not stand. And that's why I worry about the truth of culture in the community. If the truth is Jesus and the Bible, and the spiritual war we're caught within, and that Lucifer is trying to run the show right now, and that God is real too, and there's an ordained plan, and that he sent his son to save us, our spirits, and also give us the ability to defend ourselves against the demon forces that are working against us every single minute of our lives. That's the truth, and we have this tainted well. The truther community, where people go to find the truth when they start opening their eyes a little bit and cluing onto a few things. They go in to try and look for the truth online. Well, they're presented with the Christian perspective and the Gnostic perspective, and most often than not, because of the tantalizing, exciting, sweet, mystic nature of the other side, the Gnostic side, they fall into it. And it's bad. It's a problem. It's a serious problem, because knowledge will not save you, which is what Gnosis is promising. Know enough stuff, become a powerful enough wizard, and you will save yourself. And it's a lie. It's a lie as old as time itself. It will not save you in the end. It's just not the case. Anyway, who remembers Zeitgeist? Let me know in the comments if you do. Thanks for listening, guys, and as always, God bless.
You to get together.